Hi everyone, Karen Roby and Adrian Kingsley-Hughes here for ZDNet. We're talking today about some Android bugs and the manufacturer's response to them. So Adrian, I'm just going to let you kind of take off here on some of the things that are bugging you, no pun intended, and then we'll get to the manufacturer's response.
Well, let's start off with Samsung's response to the newly discovered fingerprint bug in the Galaxy S10 and the Note 10, where basically if you have a screen protector on the device and you enroll fingerprints on it, apparently it turns out anybody can just unlock your device. And they've sort of tried to downplay this bug as a malfunction, but I honestly think that a bug that lets anybody unlock your device is actually quite serious. And here we are almost 2 weeks on from the discovery of that. And apparently there's rumors that a fix is coming, that it's been maybe being released in South Korea, but that's about it at the moment, with no real timeline for anybody else. This seems like a serious bug in a flagship device, and mostly the response I've seen from both owners and the tech industry is a sort of a collective shrug as to kind of, here we go, another Samsung bug to come along with its folding phone that broke after a few hours, and myriad of sort of battery-related issues that have caused fires. We seem to be at a stage where Android devices and bugs, and people just seem to be just going, yeah, it's what we expect. And then there's the Pixel 4 and its face unlock feature, which seems to be that if you've got your eyes closed or you're not moving, or even if you're dead, you can just unlock the device with somebody's face. And again, Google's response to this is yeah, there's a fix coming in the coming months. Nobody cares again. It's like bugs. Who cares? We already accept that Android is a toxic hell stew of vulnerabilities anyway. Nobody cares. And I can't help but think, what would be the response from owners and the tech industry if this was iPhone bugs?
Yeah, that's a good question to ponder, and that's what I was thinking, Adrian, is what if this was on the other side? And is it because we're just so used to issues that we become complacent, kind of like, okay, they'll issue a fix, that's the end of it? Or, where are we going wrong? Is that we just aren't asking enough questions or demanding answers? Or
I think there's a lot of issues. I think to begin with, Android is not one thing. I think that's part of the problem. It's always hard to pin down where the problem lies with Android stuff. Do we blame Google? Do we blame manufacturers? And so there's always the finger pointing ends up being somewhat vague. We point in some kind of direction, whereas with the iPhone, we can definitively point at Apple, definitively point at Tim Cook, definitively say, fix these things now because we're really annoyed with you. And I think Android tends to get a little bit of a pass because we're not used to knowing exactly where we're going to point the finger, especially when it's consumers. Consumers feel this vague idea that their phone has a brand on it, but that there's also this Google branding on the inside, and then there's this Android thing that they're not entirely sure what that is. I think another issue is that there's a fatigue over bugs in Android, and especially when it comes to Samsung. Samsung seems to just be able to just shrug stuff off with and everybody just goes, oh yeah, it's Samsung and it's another bug, what do we expect? And it must be a great place for Samsung to be in, that they can have bugs in devices, flagship devices, for years now, and there's not really that much of a collective scream from people, and people still keep buying Samsung devices. I think Samsung, we always talk about this halo that Apple has, this shine that Apple has. I honestly think it's Samsung that has that shine.
yeah, and Adrian, when you talk about, go back to response times, Apple tends to come out pretty quickly, it seems, wouldn't you say, with a fix and answer when they have an issue, but not so much the other way around.
Yeah, Apple, while it's pretty tight-lipped about when fixes are going to come, we generally kind of are aware that Apple drip feeds us with iOS updates on a pretty regular basis. And that's another problem with Android. Android users don't really expect much in the way of updates. And so there is that kind of idea that when Google says for the face unlock bug on the Pixel 4, it's in coming months, users are just like, okay, I don't really kind of expect that much anyway. Whereas I think with Apple, there is this idea that once new iOS version is out or a new hardware version is out, there will be an awful lot of fixes within a few months.
Yeah, I guess with anything, just like before, we just wait and see with with this round of Android bugs, the response that comes from it, Adrian. All right, well, obviously, we'll keep everyone up to date here on ZDNet, and you can find Adrian's full article on ZDNet. Thanks for watching.